Good morning, students. Students, you would have noticed that I addressed you first. For me, you are the chief guests. Without you, this knowledge sharing session would lose its meaning. I wanted to share some experiences from my life which may have useful learnings for your life. I started off as an engineer from IIT Kanpur and went on to do an MBA from IIM Calcutta. People did comment that I was wasting my engineering degree by going to banking after IIM, and what is essential to understand is that you don't get stuck to a job. Don't get stuck to a designation of an engineer, banker, skill development expert, whatever it may be. That's what the society wants to know, but you don't get stuck to it. At any time, you are developing skills, and you should be proud of that, and you should be learning those skills. Request you all that in this situation that you are in, you are part of an educational institute. This is the time where you have to make the maximum of the opportunity, because once you're out of it, you will be going all over the place, helter-skelter, to get direction or to get knowledge or to get any kind of help. But right now, don't waste this time in getting marks. Take your time to get knowledge. And this is where I say you make life miserable for your professors. And when I say miserable, it's a constructive miserable. Ask questions, more and more clarification on your doubts. Ask them for collaboration. Ask them to get you more knowledge or learning of a particular place, of any concept or any kind of things that you may have in your mind. Bounce off ideas with them. What is the greatest achievement for a teacher is when the pupil is asking questions and making them think more. The more you ask them, the more they will give. And that should be your basic, let's say, your mantra of while staying in JIET and you having part of such a big gathering today. And I would like to thank Dr. Pravash at this stage for giving me the opportunity to address you all. This is a very big forum, and this is the very big opportunity for you to take this forward as a knowledge gaining session. Now, if I were to just ask you to reflect on what is it that you're learning in engineering and how do you come up with new ideas, I would say look inwards first. I mean, rather than going and looking at various books that are there are tons of books around, and now there's tons of material on the internet also. But for a moment, try and do introspection on your own body. So if I were to just say, look, there are 12 systems within the human body. And for a moment, this is not a biology class. This is about learning from biology or learning from humans, your own system, to be able to develop products for the society itself. So if you look at the skeletal system itself, see the robustness, see the movement that provides from our skeletal systems. You may have seen a few YouTube videos or WhatsApp messages on how they are designing robots which can walk across hilly terrain. They might be used by the army, or they might be used for other purposes. The fact of the matter is, the human body is getting reflected in that piece of equipment that's being made. And in a very crude way, you can move with such grace, you can move so fast. So there's so much of perfection required at this moment, so much of learning, so much of application required. So what I'm saying here is the idea of a robot didn't come from thin air. It came from the human body itself. Then muscular system, the power to take over tough situations, to be going over different terrains. Your human body, the skeletal system and the muscular system work in tandem to be able to give you that movement and to be able to go across any kind of terrain for that matter. The nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord. I mean, how fast does the system respond? The amount of clips that I hear about, the mobile phone is not working fast, the laptop is not working fast. Why? Because the internal structure of that mobile or the laptop, the amount of waste material that's there in the laptop itself, the DLL files that have not been purged, the system kind of got to an abrupt halt. Why does this happen so? And why is it that your brain is working and your human mind is working? There's lots to learn about it. How do you keep your brain afresh? Because if your brain is afresh, only then can you create a CPU which will work So any laptop or any computer system or any kind of artificial intelligence, AI, ML, whatever it be the talk of the town nowadays is, can only be good or as good and or can be made better only when your brain works well. So that's why for years together, people have been programming, and today we are talking of these emerging technologies. The endocrine system, the hormones which pass those chemicals into blood so that you get certain thoughts itself. And it can be very well related to the machine maintenance and preventive maintenance. What do we do in that machines when we maintain some machines, or we kind of grease them, we slow them down, we can shut them down sometimes, we do a thorough cleaning, etc. All of that is part of what you learn from your endocrine system. Then the cardiovascular system, on the data flow or the hydraulics that flow in a system, all the same. How do you keep that heart working? How do you keep that machine working? If there's too much of data or there's too much of fluid going in, like the way our heart starts giving trouble, same way the machine starts giving trouble. So there's so much to learn there. The urinary system. Now this is very important. I mean, imagine how disgusted you feel when you see a human being being in the open somewhere, not taking the right precaution of disposing of the excreta in a very, let's say, in a right manner. Now, imagine the ethical disposal of waste by machines and by factories. The river Ganga is getting polluted. Why? Because all the waste material that is being produced by the small and medium industries, or even the big ones, they're dumping that waste into the Ganga. So the same way that we get affected when we see somebody not following the law of nature really, the same thing happens with the machine. Now, when you design something, when you come to a factory or when you start making any product under the manufacturing, you have to first also think about where does the waste go? And is it being ethically put into the right place? Then the lymphatic system, the immunity. A simple virus, which you can measure in nanometers, has affected the entire human body of not one or but millions or maybe billions right now. The whole world has come to a stop by 1 nanometer particle itself. That's how important is the lymphatic system, the immunity. So when you are designing a machine, again, the immunity that you have to provide so that the intrusions don't affect it. So any kind of external elements, or let's say the devilish elements, don't let it stop. The respiratory system, right amount of fluid, the right time to the right location. If you don't do that, your machine stops breathing, like the way the lungs get affected with the COVID virus. So it's very important to keep that respiratory system going. Otherwise, like the way your human body can stop breathing, and that can be end of life for that human body, it can be end of life for a system also. The digestive system. Now that's very important. Like the way we have acidity and our whole body gets into trouble, same way with the system itself. The error rates are at a direct correlation that something's going wrong. That's why you need to see the entire system behind that machine or a product. There is something going wrong here. So in manufacturing, these are some of the things that you need to be always concerned about. So when you're coming up with a new design, or whenever you're working with an existing design or a product or machine or any kind of equipment, you have to look at literally from the point of view, okay, what do I do for my own body? Do I need to do with this machine itself? You don't need to have any books for it. You don't have to read any material for it. Just apply. It applies the simple knowledge that you have within you yourself to the equipment that you are dealing with. And the productive system, or rather reproductive system. How do you make the same machine time and time again with the same kind of output anywhere in India or anywhere in the world? How do you make it scalable? All of this happens only when you study the reproductive system, how you bring things together and bring it to an extent that the next production of machines Or right now we're talking of machines making their own machines. I mean, robots making their own robots. We're now talking of that level of technology. But before that happens, and it is happening, going to happen very fast. But imagine if the parent machine is not good enough, or there are defects on it, then what will happen to the subsequent machines? So it is very important that you create that perfection in whatever you study or you produce or you create or you dream of, in the same way as it is affecting you. So that is, I just thought that the best example of any book is your own body itself. And it's a wonderful piece of engineering. Even for management itself, it's not about engineering here itself, it's about management. How do you manage your body? How do you manage your brain? How do you manage your 12 systems that are inside you? How do you eat well? How do you exercise well? There's so much of things happening. Why? But we have to look at it holistically. We can't just say, look, I'm on a diet, therefore I'll lose weight. Well, by the time you're losing weight, your brain is going for a toss somewhere, and you're feeding your brain with all kinds of other material, all the media noise, all the fake news. So what do you think your output is going to be from the brain itself? You feed in, garbage in, garbage out. So it's very important to keep that CPU here well functioning with the right material, right data, right information. And you are in an educational institute where there are a lot of people who are educationists who can give you their life experiences to improve your own self. And when it comes to manufacturing itself, or let's say the secondary sector we're talking of, and how India is kind of not got its due, and maybe China stole the thunder, but still we still have a very good chance of stealing back that thunder. Because why? Because Indians are well respected in this world. We are tolerant people. We are God-loving people. We do not harm others. We don't take others' assets or their, whatever they have by force. We are not aggressive to that extent, and we don't want to be. So this is the time, with that respect, can we create something new in manufacturing? And let me give you one example that I came to know of yesterday only. Let's say the cry for help given by the Indian government. They rang up many educational institutes, one of them being IIT Kanpur, my alma mater. They wanted to create as many ventilators as possible because of the COVID scenario. So the incubation cell in IIT Kanpur got this call, and they reached out to a whole lot of people, alumni. And two guys from Pune passed out in the last maybe 4 or 5 years itself, maybe 10 years. They are on robotics. They raised their hand, look, we can do it. And within a period of 82 days, there was a team which worked together of doctors, of engineers, there were alumni from abroad, there were some Padma Shri people out here, there was a 74-year-old gentleman who was a Padma Bhushan awardee, and there was a 23-year-old person who was an entrepreneur. All of them got together every single day for 82 days. At 12 noon, there was a call, and they would discuss what's to happen. And at the end of 82nd day, we had a product. We had a product which worked in hospitals, which is still working, and everything went right. So entrepreneurship is not about funding. It is not about the valuation. That's a very wrong notion. You have to work with a higher purpose. And this particular project succeeded in 82 days, what takes nearly 18 months to 24 months, because there's a sense of higher purpose. A higher purpose to become useful to the society, to become useful to your countrymen when the COVID attack was on. And by the way, opportunities have still not gone, that there are many more to come. Anyone who develops the vaccine is going to be a God-given gift from their side. It's a higher purpose. It's not about how much money you'll make if you accidentally discover a vaccine which works. It's about a higher purpose. So if you want your entrepreneurship to succeed, have that higher purpose in life, and everything else will follow. This is not about, any spiritual thing. I mean, you can remember शाहरुख खान्स डायलॉग कि जब किसी चीज को चाहते हो तो सारा यूनिवर्स उसको शिद्दत से आपको देने के लिए तैयार हो जाता है. तो have that sense of purpose and you will succeed. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I hope you all come up with great ideas and make your country proud. Thank you.